Hey, what's up, party people? Happy Monday. Welcome back to SJU. Today, much like the pheromone-induced cloud of Ray Winstone, we are going to be getting into Black Widow's BO. Yes, her box office numbers are out, and we are going to dive deep into this new hybrid model of release of VOD versus theatrical box office and see if they actually made money. Spoiler alert, they did, but how much? We'll discuss. And we got a bunch of bits and bobs, it seems, some little what if trailer dropped. Tomorrow War 2. My God, they're making another one of those. That Tomorrow War 2 needs to be about going back in time to erase Tomorrow War number 1. But that's a little preview of how I feel about that. And then we'll do AMA. Any questions you guys have, keep them coming in the chat. Then we have a junket for the film Gunpowder Milkshake with Kim that I'm sure Eric will have more to say about that.
Yep.
All right, but Black Widow. Let me shoot some stats at you. See what you think. It had its opening weekend in theaters and on Disney Plus. And in a rare moment of transparency, Disney released their streaming numbers. They said exactly how much money they made. And I will tell
they
you
didn't say exactly. They said more than.
More than. Yeah. So it could be infinite.
Right.
They said they made over $60 million in Disney Plus Premier Access. This is in addition to 80 million domestic in the US, 78 million everywhere else. So I guess that all adds up to a $215 million global opening weekend. Which is pretty big. That's the biggest, let's see. So it's the biggest domestic box office opening since COVID-19 hit, and the biggest domestic opening weekend since Star Wars 9, Rise of Skywalker. That was way back in December 2019, when that was the worst thing that had happened to us. So combining those numbers, this Black Widow is the only film to cross 100 million domestic on opening weekend since the start of the pandemic. It's the highest domestic opening weekend for a MCU origin story after Black Panther and Captain Marvel. So bronze medal, no shame in being on the podium. So yeah, if it's made 60 million on Disney Plus, that would mean about 2 million households / subscribers ponied the extra dollars for it. So how does this make you feel? Are you happy? Is this worth celebrating, or is this like, do you think they're fudging things around to make it look better than it is? What's your main takeaway, Danielle?
I have a question. Was there an origin story after Black Panther and Captain Marvel? Was Captain Marvel our last origin story? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, there was only 2 movies since Captain Marvel is the crazy thing. Endgame and Spider-Man Far From Home.
Right.
And then the end times came.
So really what they're saying is it did better than Doctor Strange.
Did better than Doctor Strange. But I mean, Guardians is an origin story. No?
Guardians is an origin story. I count that. It's just the idea that it's like, oh, this is the best one since Captain Marvel. And it's
no, I think they're saying after, like in the scheme of, I think it's a weird thing anyway, but they're saying like bigger than Iron Man and Captain America and Thor's opening is what they're saying. It's like there's that's what they're touting here, even though it's all fuzzy. And is Black Widow even a quote unquote origin story in the same way those other ones are? I don't know. It's all murky.
So given that, so Danielle, you think they're trying to they're doing whatever it takes to make this look impressive?
I think so. Just like in Endgame, whatever it takes, right? But I do think it's interesting that we actually got those numbers since we don't usually get them. And for me, it's one of those things where it's like, this actually makes it look like it's a good idea to still have stuff at home. Like it's not doing too bad for you. So I'm wondering if, maybe that's going to make any kind of a dent, or if that's going to make a difference, because if you're touting these like great numbers during this pandemic, and some of them are the fact that people did watch from home, then you've got to say like, well, maybe the audience for having these at home, if we're still charging at this price point, is something that's worth looking at. Yeah.
And keep in mind that they get to keep all 60 million. Unlike a theatrical release where they have to split it with the theater. Eric, what's your main take?
And it's complicated is my main take. Like it's nice to get those numbers. They're not doing it just for our benefit. They're also doing it to kind of make sure that people be like, hey, instead of it having, whatever, like a little under $160 million opening, $215 million opening, and we're giving you numbers to back that. And I mean, I think they're being truthful. We were talking about that before we started recording. I don't think they could, legally they'd want to put themselves in hot water by lying about that 60 million. It is weird to adjust your mind to be like, to quote a box office opening to include things that weren't at the box office. But I know things just changed really fast in a lot of ways. So I guess that is something we kind of have to adjust to right now. And yeah, what you said is very true, that 60 million all going to them. That's a huge thing. My question keeps being, though, in the grand scheme of things, as they look at, and I'm sure they got so many people looking at all these things and studying it. My guess is not many people are going to buy Black Widow after this weekend on Premier Access. More people will continue to see it in the box office. If you were going to buy it on Premier Access, you probably did it this weekend. I have this is just me assuming, like, this is what I kind of feel about if you made that decision or not. Is this worth my $30, or do I wait 3 months till I don't have to pay? So that's where they have to parse it out and be like, okay, like now 3 weeks in its third week, could we be making more money because, than if it was on Premier Access? I don't know. It's super tricky. It is interesting, and I do want to see what they do next as far as like Jungle Cruise, and will they keep being transparent is my question.
It's interesting because it's also like there are more spoilers online now because you are doing this at-home access
100%.
where you're seeing like fan cams and people like breaking down certain scenes, which is like I hadn't even seen it yet. And I was seeing people talk about stuff where I had to be like, whoa, I have to like actually mute this tag. I feel like that 2-week window where we used to get where people would slyly do, which I think is the most irritating thing in the world, where people would slyly do this thing where it's like blah, blah, blah without context. And they put a bunch of stuff up and it's like, you just wanted us to know that you saw it first. We get it. You're cooler than the rest of us. But like, you don't have to put up those things without the context. Like, we know what that is. And now it's just straight up being like, oh, well, can you believe that this thing happened? And it was like, well, I haven't even, like, I'm seeing it in Premiere, like the home access. And like, I hadn't been able to watch it yet. And I was having to like mute all the tags. So that's another interesting kind of cog in that machine as well. Because for some people, seeing things spoiled does matter. For me, I'm very much like, it's the story, like whatever, if I get it spoiled, like I'm still going to be able to enjoy the way that it was told. But for some people, they're very much like, well, you didn't tell me the Black Widow was going to have so many piercings, so now I guess I can't watch this movie,
Spoiler alert, gosh. Yeah, we've
But what version did you see, Danielle?
so sorry.
We've had 2 mild spoilers, the piercings and the smell of Ray Winstone. So sorry about that. We should have given you a heads up. So we've already got some response coming in from the chat. JP Harryhill writes, not sure why they're stuck on the $30 streaming price point right now. Seems like $20 would be perfect. Would allow for solo viewing that may be turned off by $30 when it's just yourself. I think there's some truth to that. I'm shocked that they're not shocked, but I'm surprised that there isn't more of a willingness to experiment with price point in addition to this distribution model. Like, because Mulan did not work for them by all accounts, or by most accounts.
I think it's, again, that super tricky thing, because on the flip side, if you have a family of 6, 2 parents and kids, they feel like $30, man, what a deal, like, for Black Widow. So I think that is just like, it's super tricky. And I'm sure they've had those discussions, but I think they worry once they lower it, if they try experimenting with a lower price, that's it, so they kind of right now are sticking to their guns.
I mean, is this so Orwellian? But I'm sure Disney is working on it to use like Face ID to be like, hey.
Too many kids.
Too many kids. Get those kids out of there, or we're going to charge you $30 more.
Kate +8, not on my watch.
Yeah, that's right. Amazing. Okay, so some more questions here. What do we think moving forward? Is this the new norm? Do you think that they will do it for their next big release, which I believe is Jungle Cruise, coming out in a few weeks? Is that scheduled to go on Premiere Access?
That is going on Premiere Access as well.
Yeah.
That's
how long
a
are we
question.
getting this?
Yeah, that's a huge question for me, because part of this felt like they're like, hey, that 60 million is pretty good number, and it'll be part of us like announcing this big, Marvel or first Marvel movie in 2 years. Because if they don't do it for Jungle Cruise, then you feel like it's a lot lower, right, than Black Widow. So yeah, I'm like kind of 50-50 if they decide to keep doing this or not. And also, by the way, that's my follow-up, my whole like speculation that not a lot of people were going to choose to get the $30 after the first weekend. Are they ever going to follow up? Box office, we keep getting new totals. Are we ever going to have them say what it makes after this weekend on Premiere Access? I suspect not, because if it's like 68 million, you know, they won't be like, look, you know, in totality, that won't sound that great. So yeah, that's another huge question I have about this.
And you're also like, you're betting on The Rock, which is like usually not the worst bet for Jungle Cruise, but it's also, that's not one that's like super, and I have A-list and it's like, so I can just go see movies. And that's one where I'm like, I don't know if I need to go see that in theaters. I could probably, you know, I'm definitely seeing Space Jam in theaters. I have to Space Jam and I have to see it with people. Like it's that one's not going to be the same watching it at home without a cocktail and a bunch of friends, some of which are dressed up like Lola Bunny. Like that's going to be an experience.
Oh man.
We turned it into Comic-Con now. Like the movies that I've gone and seen with people, they're like dressing up and getting full on ridiculous.
I went to opening night of Black Widow at the Chinese here, and there was, I think, 6 or 7 Black Widows, and with them was a Scarlet Witch, a Hawkeye, and a Captain America. So yeah, maybe there'll be like an entire Lola Bunny army, you know, coming at Space Jam.
It's like the positive side of the coin of like when we all emerge, and now everybody that takes an airline flight starts punching each other, and everybody who goes to a movie dresses up like a character and makes it a party. That's great. I'd love to hear it. So how long do we think, Jeff Beeler asked a good question, how long should the Premiere Access window be? October seems far away, because I think that they even put this on like the button to buy it is like, or you can wait until October and see it on Disney Plus for free, which actually to me at the time seemed like a bad thing to do, because it was like, oh, I guess I don't need to buy this right now. But do you think the window is too long or too short, or is that just right?
Ooh, that's an interesting, because for HBO Max, that window, it comes with your subscription, but it's only what, like 2 weeks or something like that?
It's there for a month.
Yeah, it's there for a month.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think until October, I think that might be a little bit long to wait for people, but it's also, I get that I don't know what deals they have with the movie theaters for them to be like, okay, well, you can have this and you can do this at home, but we're going to wait for people to see it for free until at least like it starts getting into spooky days. So I could see that being a problem as well.
Also, like the deals thing is interesting because, you know, so keep in mind, Shang-Chi is not doing Premiere Access, but will be on Disney Plus 45 days after, right? So it's like for free, for part of your subscription, right? So, but the problem is, you know, one thing we have to keep in mind with all these changes is all the deals that were already in place for traditionally a movie comes in theaters and then it goes on VOD and Blu-ray, and then it comes to a streamer. So with the stuff they're doing in Premiere Access, I think they have to keep honoring that as well. Like Black Widow will still come on regular VOD, as did Raya in these movies, where it's like if you don't have Disney Plus, you can still buy it away from it. So I think there's a lot of complications, and that's one of the reasons it's like a longer wait for Black Widow to be like, I guess with that timing, Black Widow and Shang-Chi will kind of be available for free on Disney Plus at the same time, just because of how Shang-Chi will be quicker going straight to Disney Plus. But I think that they must have had so many, you know, we talked about HBO Max and how they like threw all their partners for a loop when they did that. So I think Disney Plus, even though they haven't gotten such bad blowback because they've been more upfront about it, they're still having a million legal meetings to work out all of this stuff.
What a great time to be an entertainment lawyer.
Oh my God. At least they're doing okay, guys.
At least they're doing great. Win or lose, no matter what the real numbers are, they're having the real numbers. Overall, it was a success. I think you have to moderate it and put it in context, because I don't think even Disney itself in normal circumstances would say Black Widow is going to be $1 billion movie. I think that for this to do Doctor Strange numbers is probably just fine by them, no matter how they got there. There you go. And it's nice that they're actually releasing some real cold hard data that we can analyze, and hopefully that continues, because you make a great point that will this just be week 1, or will they tell us week 2 and beyond?
Yeah.
My guess, no. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching to this point. Please like, please subscribe, ring that bell, and you'll never miss another hard-hitting BO again. BO report. So Disney's doing other things. They have a whole division that doesn't make movies. In fact, they're making What If. They dropped a What If trailer coming out on Disney Plus on August 11th. And this is, there's the comics of the same name. They've been running for a long time. What if Iron Man had a hot dog for a hand? Would he eat it? I don't know. But we got a chance to watch this trailer right alongside the rest of you. What do you guys think? Are you excited for What If? What's your favorite What If scenario?
All of these are really good. I can't handle fake RJD or like fake Robert Downey Jr. Like, I know that he wasn't coming back, but it's so like the choice that the actor made to make his voice like so nasally is a really interesting one. But I'm still going to watch it because I think it's great. Jeffrey Wright as Watcher is amazing. I love What If. I'm going to say they used a word in the What If trailer that if I used around my Oma, she would get very upset with me. And that word is scheisse. That is not a word you use in polite company in Germany, from my understanding. And they put it right in the trailer, and I was like, "Ooh, saucy."
Can we get what do they say in the German dub of this? I wonder, or will they drop a scheisse bomb?
Oh, they might drop that. Drop a scheisse bomb.
You have to pay for that in Germany, actually. So I thought that was Robert Downey Jr.'s voice. No.
Is that him? I thought that wasn't. Yeah, no.
Wow.
Yeah, to me, it was stuck out as not him because it's like, yeah, almost everyone is back, but it's like him, Benedict Cumberbatch, Brie Larson, and I think Benicio del Toro are not for whatever reason. Yeah, Chris Evans, of course. Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Well, I saw some zombies in there. I saw some Marvel zombies. I saw Captain Peggy Carter. Well, what of these scenarios got you excited? Anyone jump out at you?
I mean, I'm all about Captain Peggy. I don't know about you, Danielle.
Yeah. No, please continue. Because
that is first and foremost for me. I'll take any Agent Carter content I can get. I saw someone saying on Twitter last week that it is too bad that Agent Carter, if they waited to do that now as Disney Plus show, would probably go for a few years, which I absolutely agree with.
It would murder.
Right? People will be so psyched about it. All the memeing. Oh my God. So that one I'm psyched about. And it's, of course, I think I'd be interested. It's such a it's such a curveball anyway that I think I'd be excited. Now there's this poignancy to the one about T'Challa becoming Star-Lord because it's Chadwick Boseman's final performance as this character. He did do the voice, and it's just a very interesting, like, wild thing. That's the fun thing of What If, is like seeing these like absolutely like huge left turns that they can make. I was a big fan of the comic books that this is based on, and they were all really fun, although 90% of them ended horribly bleakly. Yeah. Like 90% of them is like, if this thing happened, everyone dies. So I'm curious how much this show will evoke that spirit.
That's why my favorite was always Marvel Zombies, where they ended by eating Galactus and then going on to eat other universes when they run out of food. And it's like, it's horrific and excellent. And I really hope they honor the goriness of that comic and them like screaming as they eat their friends. So I can't wait. I can't wait for that to come to Disney Plus. Fun for the whole family. I also wish they went like a little weirder with What If. I was joking about like the hot dog for a hand, but a lot of them seems like, what if this superhero was in this other superhero's costume? And it's like, come on, can you think anything more out of the box than that? But
yeah, that is kind of the tradition of What If. Like one of my favorite What If comics is, what if Rogue was Thor? That doesn't make any sense, but it works. and you get to hear Thor with a Southern accent, but still
sugar.
You got some sugar.
Gambit would still try his best to take that down.
Mon God, Sherry, yeah.
Yeah, so on to, I think we're all excited for that, but on to things I'm not excited about. The Tomorrow War 2. Skydance and Amazon Studios are in discussions on the development of a sequel to the Chris Pratt sci-fi pick, according to Deadline. Now, I just gotta say, I watched this, and Chris Pratt has rocketed down the list of best Hollywood Chris's for a multitude of reasons, but this film planted him firmly at the bottom. This is just, he can't do Star-Lord for everything, man. Like he just could not pull off like a down on his luck middle school science teacher or like the badass special forces guy. And my God, what a dumb use of time travel. I mean, they're all dumb at the end of the day, but this was so dumb. And I kept watching because I wanted to see them aliens. I wanted to see what the aliens looked like. And I posted this in the Slack that they look like in Spaceballs when they do the alien parody and the thing pops out of the chest, but then he starts dancing. this it was just dumb creature design. They hand to hand fight the queen bee at the end. They just start punching it. The dumbness of this movie, it boggles the mind. I really wish we had done the honest trailer for it. That's all I got to say. I really wish.
I was way more on board for the dumbness of this movie. Like I'm not going to say it wasn't dumb, by the way. I just enjoyed the dumbness way more than you did. I watching it, I did think, because Tomorrow War, of course, was originally a theatrical movie. It was one of the many that moved. And I thought, yeah, in the before times, pre-pandemic, I would have enjoyed this as like a middle of the summer, like sit back, pop, and just watch the silliness popcorn movie. It offered enough for me on that level, and people falling from the sky into pools. And I like the creatures a lot more than you, I guess. So I was on board for the dumbness of it. It is funny though, as we're talking about like transparency and numbers, and like all we can say is, I guess it did really well. If Prime was so quickly like, we want more of that Tomorrow War, I guess a lot of people are watching it.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet. Keeping in mind it's me, is this dumb enough for me to enjoy?
I think so.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah.
Spencer scorns it. I embrace it.
I like stupid, but this was just like it was stupid with aspirations of being like Aliens or like Edge of Tomorrow or like a good sci-fi smart movie, but it was a dumb sci-fi movie that thought it was a smart one. I don't know. It wasn't stupid enough for me. So yeah, your mileage may vary. We might talk about this later in a future episode of Honest Trailers when we need something to do. Anyways, so other new movies are in development, it turns out. Matthew Vaughn has another spy franchise. He's the guy who made Kingsman, right? And X-Men First Class and all sorts of things that harken back to a more sophisticated... and Kick-Ass, yeah. So he's doing he's adapting the novel Argylle. Wow, that sounds very British.
It's the most British.
So this is it's based on a spy novel. I'm reading about this now. Follows the world's greatest spy, Argylle, as he's caught up in a globe-trotting adventure. 3 films, of course. The first of 3 films. Yeah, we haven't made one yet. We haven't even developed one.
The novel's not even out yet.
Are you serious? Amazing.
According to our stuff, yeah, it looks like the novel is soon to be launched. It's not even out yet.
That happens, though. That happens these days more and more. It's like there's buzz around this novel. Let's order the adaptation before it even happens.
Wow.
I mean, it can be done. Yeah, there's some good novel movie simultaneous releases. This isn't like the novelization of Waterworld that I used to love that came out after the fact. But set in America, London, and multiple locations across the world. Set to start shooting in August. So we have the acting debut of Dua Lipa to look forward to. That's exciting. Okay. Henry Cavill, yeah. Sam Rockwell, sure. Bryce Dallas Howard, okay. Bryan Cranston, why not? Catherine O'Hara, John Cena, okay. And Samuel L. Jackson.
What is this movie?
It sounds like the greatest movie ever, guys. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's like a Knives Out.
Is it the greatest movie ever, or does it wind up being that, the movie with Rihanna, the submarine movie?
Battleship?
Battleship. Like, is this Battleship, or is it the greatest movie ever?
I think they should make a sequel to Battleship as well, starring Henry Cavill, Sam Rockwell, and Rihanna.
All I know is really weird is that all these stories, I was double checking, they all mention this cast, and they all mention the plot, the Argylle, this character, world's greatest spy. They don't say who's playing Argylle. Now you can assume it's Henry Cavill, but I hope it's. I want Sam Rockwell, guys. I want like Cavill and Cena to be his backup. I want this is Sam Rockwell's time to shine.
Danielle, who of this cast should be Argylle? Who should be the Q assigning the gadgets, and who should be the villain?
Well, John Cena should be the Q, and every gadget should be a different way to suplex someone. Sam Rockwell should be the Argylle. I just think that would be really funny. And then what was the last one you said? The heavy?
The villain. The
villain? Henry Cavill. I just want to see more handgun cocking. Cock them hands.
Yeah. And I feel like Vaughn already had Samuel L. Jackson play the villain in Kingsman, so he can't be that role again. So we'll see where he fits. He could be a Q, I guess, too. I don't know.
Bryce
think
Dallas Howard would make a good villain as well, though.
I like Catherine O'Hara as the
Oh my God.
Oh.
Rockwell and O'Hara face off. Everyone
Rockwell
else
stars. O'Hara's the villain, and then yes, John Cena. But all of his gadgets are different types of jorts. Like these are your rocket jorts. These are your invisibility jorts.
Now I want Henry Cavill to be Catherine O'Hara's right-hand henchman villain. Yeah, there you go. And they have sexy times.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, we have to.
Well, I'm looking forward to that part of the novel. that's most anticipated novel of the year.
It's so weird because they're so evoking Bond here. Like, she's gonna also write a title track, so it's got to be some sort of send up or winking or I don't know. There's something's going on here.
Kingsman,
yeah.
All right, so on to the live chat. That's enough about movies. Let's see what y'all have to say. AJ. AJAY writes, based on last week's spy draft, I remember that was fun. Which would be the spy movie you'd have liked Black Widow to be more like? You know,
I'm saying Debs. Sorry, like I want it to be more gay, but I want everything to be more gay, y'all. So that's just on me. She finds like a nice little lady spy. One of the widows winds up rescuing him, and then it gets really sexy.
Everything's more gay.
Oh yeah.
I like Black Widow. I enjoyed the tone. I don't think it needed to be anything else except for what it was. But Austin Powers, a little more Austin Powers never hurt. I would have liked to see Black Widow have to fight a room instead of like that. Well, spoilers, though it's in the trailer for Black Widow, she has to fight other widows, right? Yeah. But I wish that they were like the younglings, like in the Jedi room, and she just had to fight a bunch of 8-year-olds.
Oh God! And then it's a dance sequence. Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
I'll still, I'll be basic here and say, I really like Black Widow too. I think it was exactly the spy movie it needed to be. But then also, my friends and I afterwards were talking about the Mission Impossible movies. It has the same composer, Lauren Balfe, who's doing the current ones for Macquarie, and there was some stuff that reminded us of that a little. So it doesn't need to be more like that. It just made me think of that, and I like them both. So everything's pleasant, guys.
Yeah, there you go. Jim One has a good question for this group. What's your favorite performance, good or bad, by a wrestler?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm just based on the trailers. Like this isn't, I feel bad saying it because we haven't seen it yet, but I think that John Cena is really going to murder it in the Suicide Squad.
He looks good in that.
He looks really, really good in it. And he looks like John Cena in so many other movies, although he was great in Blockers, I will say. That was a really good, but he was really fun in Blockers. But in most things, he happens to be John Cena. Oh, he was really good in Bumblebee too, because he knew exactly what movie he was in. This is just a John Cena love
John
post
Cena appreciation.
I them jorts.
I also think Cena looks amazing in Suicide Squad, and I love that he's getting a spinoff. But yeah, Blockers also came to mind for me. He's really funny in that. But Batista is turning into quite a good actor too. And I kind of almost think of Blade Runner 2049, which I realize he's not in a lot, but he's really good in it. And it was kind of a cool, like, Batista is fascinating because he underplays as a pro wrestler in a way that you wouldn't expect. Obviously not when he's Drax, but a lot of times he's like the thoughtful, quiet one. And he can pull it off despite like being a mega jacked. So those Blockers and Blade Runner 2049, that's my tie.
Those are good ones. And if you're looking for a bad movie with a good performance that none of you are going to see, WWE has a series called The Marine, which is about someone who is an ex-Marine who goes around solving problems like the A-Team that just happened to come to him. Much like Angela from Murder, She Wrote. And Becky Lynch actually has a really good performance in one of the Marine movies.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a deep wrestling cut, which I think this person might be, that would be my one.
Also, I really like, I can't remember if I mentioned on here, but I like Hotel Artemis, where Batista plays the right-hand man to Jodie Foster. So if you want to see that interesting pairing, and plus it's got Sterling K. Brown and a bunch of other good actors in it, check out Hotel Artemis.
Well, Eric, you seem to be clipping off the screen. Oh, there you go. Well, yeah, I think there's some massive disrespect being shown to some of the earlier greats of film. Andre the Giant and Princess Bride, as Jeff Beeler mentioned. And I'll throw in Rowdy Roddy Piper for They Live. Come on, I thought you guys were wrestling fans. It's like the best wrestling scene in movies. And a personal favorite is Cancellation notwithstanding, but I do love No Holds Barred, and Hulk Hogan in that movie is a guilty pleasure of mine for sure.
I'm glad you mentioned Piper, because I actually just went to see They Live at the Alamo Draft House a few weeks ago. It was my first movie back there. And after the movie, my friends and I were like, I wonder why he didn't do more action movies, because he's very good in it. He gives a good action star performance. And I know he did Hell Comes to Frogtown, but it feels like they could have thrown him one of those Seagal movies. He's much better than that.
Yeah. He's also really funny in an episode of Always Sunny. If you've seen that episode, he is hilarious as a washed up old wrestler.
So good. Oh man, I could hang out with y'all all day, but I have work to do, and we'll be back. But in the meantime, let's check out this junket. Eric, can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, Netflix debuting this week is the movie Gunpowder Milkshake. It's got a really cool cast. It's Karen Gillan, it's Lena Headey, it's Carla Gugino. They're shooting stuff, they're kicking butt, and Kim spoke to all three of those women. Angela Bassett and Michelle Yeoh were in the movie, but she didn't get to talk to them, but they're still cool. So see what those guys talked to Kim about. They talked about Nebula and Cersei versus the characters in this movie, and who might win in a fight, and all sorts of fun stuff.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
How much training did you both do for the roles? It looked, especially for you, Karen, very intense.
Yeah, it definitely was. I feel like through each film, I've been kind of like doing more and more action, like through the Marvel films and then the Jumanji films. And so I feel like I've now graduated to like a full-blown action film. And it was really involved. It was like just really intricate. Like we were using all sorts of objects as weapons I've never seen used before, like suitcases and bowling balls, and like it just required a lot of practice, really. Like we would learn the routines really slowly and then just gradually pick up the speed, and then just get to the point where it's like, okay, now you can go flat out with all of the noises that you want to make.
If Nebula and Cersei teamed up against Sam and Scarlet, who would win the fight?
Oof, gosh, great question. What do you think? I'm gonna say Nebula and Cersei are gonna win.
I think they'd probably be so dirty and ruthless.
Yeah, like they are willing to play dirty. Like they would, I mean, Nebula's a sadist, so like she enjoys inflicting pain on people. So I think they would just be willing to go further.
Yeah.
Rather than Sam and Scarlet with their morals and stuff.
Morals. How far behind the scenes did you talk about the mythology of this world?
Extensively. I mean, we all spoke about their characters, their past, their mutual past. I mean, what led them to where they are now and why are they, because you kind of have to, because you want to capture something very quickly, very fast. You want the first time that, for example, Lena meets Angela for the first time and they have the, you understand that, I mean, it goes way deeper than what they have there. And obviously they're amazing and talented actresses. And I think by capturing that and imagining that, it just enriches the whole story.
You get to shoot a really big gun in this film. I wondered if the other women were envious of that. And whether there were any other weapons that you wish you could have got a go at using.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Everyone got pretty cool weapons. So, but yes, the big gun is, you know, when they say, you know, pull out the big guns, now we know what they mean. You know, I actually kind of love that I got the juxtaposition of a super mano a mano, just tomahawk, like as down and dirty and simple as it gets, in combination with like the craziest gun. But I will say that gun was extremely heavy. So my biggest thing was not shooting the gun or anything like that, but was actually the motion of lifting it out of the van.
In the wider world, beyond the film, is there a larger network of these women in the sisterhood? I want to know if there are more libraries around the world.
Yes, there are more libraries and more museums and sources of knowledge that this sisterhood is kind of keeping and watching.
I think for sure if there were any prequel or anything kind of done, or just to even be thinking about it, I certainly think that they have co-opted, the people in this organization have probably co-opted special spaces that they have been able to use for some of their activities.
And Lena, did you do your own stunts?
I mean, yeah, the thing is, you can always go, oh, I want to do that, which I regularly do as a chance. But, you know, insurance, sometimes they don't want you to do certain things. And then also, you know, you watch your stunt double do something and you kind of, you know, in your actor head, you're a little bit like, I can do that, it's probably easy. And then they kind of, you know, hoist you up on some wires and you're like, oh my God, this is really hard. And I just look like a sort of dead toad in the air. So there are also those moments of self-realization and humility. You have some lessons in humility.
Well, I saw Lena get up on wires and fly through the air, firing and screaming, and that looked really scary. That's what I would have looked like, a dead toad doing that. But you did not. You looked alive and non-toadish. It was so good.
Well, maybe, I think you might not have seen my toad version.